Hi all, it's Kylie from Kylie's Card Craft. Thanks for joining me again today. Just wanted to quickly show you today how to change the look of a bingo card to match your product or your project. This is the little project that we were doing the other day. I'll do a flip through at the end for those that wanted to see the finished thing. But what I wanted to show you was how to create a bingo card. You know, the purchased little bingo cards like these to match your project. So this is this one that we were using the other day and in these colours. So I'm going to do it again in these colours. So I'm just going to grab one of them from that. Any size will work. There's our straight one. It's a little bit glossy, okay, but we're not going to worry about that. So I'm just going to grab a scrap piece of paper. I'm going to start as per normal with my Distress ink in the brushed corduroy, and I'm just going to put a little base bit of brown onto it. Now I'm going to start on my book and just go over. I don't want the whole thing brown. I'm just putting a little bit of base colour in there like so. So you can see that it's still quite patchy. Then I'm going to grab some weathered wood in my Distress ink because the colours in this project were blues, greys, slightly pinky corally colours, things like that. So I've got another blending tool. Just going to grab a little bit and go in some of the areas that I've left some of that white section. So I'm still starting off onto my book page that I've got underneath me. My brown has started to dry, so I can go over that without it creating a muddied effect. So I've given it a little bit of blue now. Just going to jump in there, and now I'm going to go over with a darker blue, which is Stormy Sky. This is great for playing around with your different colours, your different products, things like that. So I'm just going to go in different areas just to create that darker grey blue that's through that paper pad that I had. Okay, so I've left a little bit of brown in there. I want to add a little bit of the pink, so I'm going to use Victorian Velvet. I don't have the exact same colours that match this, so I'm making do with the ones that I do have. I'm just going to take that off and pop another one on because I don't want that blue going through onto my ink pad. So a little bit of that, and we'll have a look and see if we're going to go down here. Put a little bit of pink elsewhere, and I'm just going over because my colours have had a chance to dry a little bit. So you can see now I'm starting to get that real mottled effect. Okay, so I can see from that I want a little bit of colour back up in this area. Right, it's as easy as that. Pop those ones aside. Now I've also got some stains, some sprays. They used to be called stains, now they're called sprays. They're the same thing. They've usually got ball bearing in them so that you can shake them up really well. I love this one, which is the Salvage Patina, because it works in the colours that I usually work with. So all that old and the copper and all the rest. So I'm just giving that a good shake and move those ones to the side. Pull up the sleeves because I'm usually very messy. And what I want to do with this is just to give it a little bit more mottled look. Now, I don't want to spray a full amount of colour. I want some blobs. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm actually undoing it, and I'm just going to flick on some colour. So you can see why I have my book. I want a little bit more, a few bigger blobs like that. Now, I'm not going to wait for those to dry because I don't have the patience. So what I like to do with them is just get a cloth. This is just like a makeup cloth type thing, but any cloth will work. And I just want to pat that over. So what it does, you can see that one now. I don't know whether you can or not. Hang on. Move me. Will it focus? There we go. So it gets that little bit instead of the large sections. So I'm just patting them out so that they smear a little bit. I'm not wiping them down. I'm just taking off the excess so that I've got that mottled look through it. Can you see that now? So I'm going to do exactly the same, but this time with an antique bronze, because they're the colours that I have. So that's that one. Shake this one. This is a really quick and easy, messy, wonderful playing type project that you can do. And I'm getting that everywhere over there and none of it on my actual project. Yes, you can spray it, but I didn't want the fine mist of spraying. So I'm getting it all over here, and I'll wipe that up in a minute. Right. And I'll wipe that up right now, actually, before it dries on that. I've already got bronze down here from the other day. Probably should have got a bigger paper piece out. And I'm going to do the same again, and I'm just going to pat it. Not necessarily, it's not going to dry it completely. It's just going to spread those liquid bubbles out a little bit. So that what I've ended up with, I'm just looking for spots that I can still see quite liquid. So if I lift this up now, can you see the colours in that now? So remembering, that's what I started with. Hasn't taken that long, and I've just used the colours that I've got. I'm going to get rid of that one because it's got quite a bit of bits on it. I'll turn that over. Now the last thing I like to do with them, and you can leave it like that by all means, is I usually like a little bit of stenciling and stuff like that. When I'm finally pulling out all my mixed media stuff and all my messy stuff, I like to go with a little bit more mixed media. So I've got a stencil here that's got lots of little small areas, and I like these little small areas for things that are about this size. So what I'll do is I'll section off an area, and I can sit that down here like so, just like that. Put that onto my book page, and then I can put something on it. Now I can use acrylic paints, I can use texture paste, I can use gesso, blacks, whites, colour my gesso, any of those sorts of things. I'm using just a coloured texture paste, and again, it's, oh, how about we do the lid up on that? That could have been fun. This is an antique bronze, and this is a copper, but you know, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Now when I have these ones, I undo them a certain way, but then I leave my foil there and we'll close it back over again. Paint palette. You don't need much because we're only dealing with a very small stencil, and I like to have extra texture. So once I've filled my stencil up, what I'll go back and do is raise my texture like so that it gives that real, I don't know, alligator skin, I suppose, snake skin type effect. So if you don't like the effect, you can just, there you go, and it's gone again. So play with what you like to do with yours. And again, don't get too much out at a time, because you're only going to have to put it back in if you're frugal like me, if you've got too much out. A little bit of something on that. There we go. So that's that on. Let's see. Let's just do a little bit of a texture on that. So I'm just laying my paint palette down and letting it go like that, so that now I've got a real crinkle to it. Close that. Do your lid back up. Now, and I always use my old washi tape for when I'm going around my stencils. Peeling this off, hanging on to that, lifting that up, and there we go. That'll be washed out. So I'll put that on a piece of scrap, just so that I can wipe that shortly with a baby wipe. And what we've now got is that. How hard? Under 10 minutes. If you want to do a pile of them in the same sort of colours, you'd set them up like a factory line. But it doesn't take that much. The only other thing I would do with that, usually once my stencil has dried, is I would then go around and do my edges because that's me. Just to give it a little bit more definition on the edges. I'll leave this because I'm going to have to wait for that to dry anyway. How hard was that? Just thought I would like to show you that because I went on to finish off this little guy the other day and pulled out my bingo cards and did this, and then thought, nah, I'm going to stop and I'll do one of those with you. But then I just went on and completed the rest anyway. So going back to this little folio that we did the other day with this paper pad, which was Mottled Memories or something like that, it really screamed to me lace. Well, most things do. This is me we're talking about, but it just needed lace. So I've just popped a little bit, top and bottom. I haven't put it all the way through. Again, frugal. Little bit of lace here, little bit of lace here, little bit of lace down there. Turning over, I've popped lace just about everywhere. Filled it with odds and sods. This time when I've done my little notebook in there, I've sewn it in instead of slipping it in, and I've used Pianola sheets. So I'll cut these into like A4 size sheets, tea dye them usually, and where you've got ones that, I don't know if I've got any in my pile here. I don't know. Oh, here's one. Here's one. So see how this one doesn't have much of this going through it, and quite often they're only on one side or just down the centre. I like this as writing paper. It's soft, it's smooth, it's very, very lightweight. And so that's what I've used as my writing paper in here. And then one piece I've done a little bit longer so that I could pop another tab made from my paper pack again. This one, a little bit more of the Pianola paper. So, and again with this one, I've added a little bit of lace, made it into a flip and popped a written note paper, whatever else you want to call it, just stuck in there as a little bit of difference. Turning it over, I wanted nothing on the back so that it would sit flat if it went into a journal anyway. I've got more lace sitting on this, some more of the paper pad that I've trimmed around the lace section, popped in a petty cash voucher. On this side, big lace pocket, popped in another note, and then with one of the little sheets like these that I had left, I've just folded it into an envelope, popped some stuff in the envelope, decorated up my envelope with more lace, and then popped it as a pocket so that I've just glued around there. So that's all I've done with it. I quite like it like that. There's my start again. Hope you enjoyed this one. Hope you enjoyed that little trip on creating or covering your bingo cards. And that's the end result for that one. Thank you all for watching. Till next time, happy crafting. Bye.